Hello and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're here today not only to honor somebody who was from Woodbridge, but also to allow that person to present us with quite a prestigious honor as well. I'd like to start by introducing our council. To my far right, Lisbeth DeJesus, Councilwoman at Large, Greg Ficara, Councilman at Large, Debbie Meehan, 5th Ward Councilwoman in Colonia, Sharon McAuliffe, 1st Ward Councilwoman covering Woodbridge proper and Seawarren, and Kyle Anderson, Councilman at Large. I'd now like to call up the Woodbridge High School Junior ROTC under the direction of Colonel Thomas Parker for the presentation of colors. Please rise.
Forward, march. Color guard. Hold. Left. Face. Reset. Arms.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Right. Face. Forward. March.
Thank you. You may be seated. I would like to call up Ambassador Rob Wilkins, who is the head of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition for the country. Mr. Wilkins, and if you please ask Councilman Kyle Anderson to come up also. Kyle is the reason why we know Mr. Wilkins, and you'll see in a few minutes what a phenomenal individual this is. And I'm going to start by reading the proclamation to you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kyle to humanize it, and then we're going to ask you to say a few words, and then we're going to ask one of your colleagues to speak. Whereas the Honorable Rob Wilkins, a 1982 graduate of John F. Kennedy Memorial High School and 26-year veteran of the United States Air Force, secured the prestigious assignment as Legislative Liaison Officer, Secretary of the United States Air Force, responsible for coordinating and escorting congressional delegations worldwide. Kyle and I interviewed Rob on our Talk About the Town show, or Around the Best Town show, many months ago, and it was fascinating, the people he's met, the people he's helped. It's just wonderful. I wish we had another half-hour show to do this, but we don't. Whereas Major Sergeant Rob Wilkins, U.S. Air Force retired, was reappointed as ambassador to the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition by President Joseph R. Biden, where he continues to advocate the Council's mission to increase sports participation among the nation's youth and to promote healthy eating and active lifestyles for all Americans. And whereas Ambassador Rob Wilkins, on behalf of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition and the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, nominated the Township of Woodbridge as the first municipality in the nation to stand, as I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this, to stand as a National Youth Sports Strategy Champion, and to further recognize the month of May 2023 as National Physical Fitness and Sports Month. Now therefore I, John McCormick, Mayor of the Township of Woodbridge, in concert with the Council, do hereby honor and salute Ambassador Rob Wilkins, President's Council of Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, for his dedication to mission and purpose, and do further extend best wishes and safe passage in all future endeavors. This amazing young man to my right here, and I say young because I beat him graduating high school by 6 years. So he is just a little bit younger than me, but what an amazing individual, and I just want to say thank you for what you've done for Woodbridge Township, giving us this honor. It's really prestigious, and it's amazing, and I want to say thank you. Now I'd like to ask my good friend Kyle Anderson if he can embellish on what I said and talk about Rob and the time we had of that interview, which I still think is one of the best ones we ever did. But please say a little more if you don't mind.
First of all, I want to thank Mayor McCormick and our public relations coordinator, John Haggerty, and our administration for making this happen, especially in February. It's still Black History Month. Rob is a 1982 graduate of John F. Kennedy High School. He happens to be a cousin of mine. All right, so I've known him since I'm a baby, as long as I've known myself. But I looked up to Rob ever since I was a little boy, always looked up to him. Shortly after he graduated, he had gone into the military. He went into the Air Force, and he wrote me letters, postcards, sent me pictures of all of his travels throughout the country, throughout the world, and all of the interesting people that he would meet. Soon after, he began working as a congressional aide, and he would go all over the country with members of Congress, and he would send me pictures of him with members of Congress on the plane and working out detail for them as they were going into different countries, and he would work with the teams to make sure that they prepared for congressmen or women to be able to deliver their public will. So it was during that time, Rob began writing for Muscle and Fitness magazine, began writing for Flex magazine. Ben Weider was a mentor of his. And if you know anything about Ben Weider and his commitment to fitness, he took Robert under his wing. They were very, very close, and he was a mentor to Rob. And I'm sure he had a lot of influence with Rob being appointed several years ago to the White House as an ambassador for on the President's Council for Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. He was on the commission, on the council with Mariano Rivera, Johnny Damon, Brian Billick, Herschel Walker, so many other individuals that had international names in the area of sports. Rob is still on the council. It's a 2-year appointment, and he's still on. It's 5 years now, and they both presidents, President Trump and both President Biden, love him, you know. And so a few months ago, he reached out to me and said, you know, I'd really like to visit my old high school. And we went to JFK High School for the day. Rob went to the cafeteria, spoke to the cafeteria workers about obviously the things that he ate when he was there, but he went and he checked all of the food and talked about the nutrition, how important it was. And we visited several classrooms, and then we visited the gymnasium. We also went to Woodbridge High School. But before then, we stopped off, and the mayor stopped what he was doing and said, we've got to have a segment on around the town, and sat down, and the questions that were asked were great, because it really gave you, if you ever get a chance to go back online and watch that interview, Rob was able to give a very comprehensive view of what he's done. I think he said when it was who's the most influential person that you ever met, or who was the most important person you ever met, and when he said he was blessed by the Pope, all right? And he's a Catholic. So, you know, what an honor that must have been. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Rob Wilkins, retired Master Sergeant with the U.S. Air Force and Ambassador with the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Thank you.
You said it all. That's it. But thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your town council. Can you guys take a seat? Just relax. Are you okay?
They're fit.
Oh, there you go. General, thank you so much for coming. My family, my friends, thank you all for being here. Whoever thinks that they're going to be able to be recognized from their town, from when they grew up. You know, you think back that Kyle and I and Jimmy and Jeffrey Sims back there, we used to run up and down these hills talking about who's the fastest, who's this, who's that. And we watched the Final Four when Georgetown and, was it Georgetown in North Carolina when we were in your house? Yeah, 1982. So to have people like that still in your life, still supporting you, and still happy to be part of whatever you're doing is really important. When you think back, to be recognized by the president, but to be recognized by 2 presidents is pretty amazing. You know, when I was 12, 13 years old, I thought about the President's Council. I learned about the President's Council, and I thought, I want to be on it. So how do I make that happen? And I think the way you do anything, just like you as the mayor or the town council folks or whatever your job is, you dream big. You think that you can do it, so why not you? And one of the reasons that kids love athletes is because athletes bring hope. For right now, we've had so much distress and so many bad things have happened because of COVID, because of racial issues, because of this, because of the weather, the economy, but sports, music, and art bring people back together. So in this case, being sports and fitness, and how important they are in our life, especially in America. They bring people of different nationalities and different races together. People who may have never spoken together, now they're on their same team, and that wall is broken. Now they want to learn about each other and to talk to each other. And to have such an active program here in Woodbridge, that's why you're number one in the country for us, because once I found out, Kyle gave me a little bit of background about what's happening here, but you really gave me a big background. The mayor gave us 3 long emails with so much information that's happening here in Woodbridge, and so we wanted to be the template for the rest of America. Many people don't know what to do. Woodbridge knows what to do. And sports, again, and fitness brings people together. As I was talking to the council members earlier, especially women and girls in sports. 94% of women who have played sports are in the C-suites now. That means they're the bosses, they're the presidents, they're the leaders in industry, they're the leaders in the military, they're already leaders in their households. But what was that made them able to find that leadership trait? Sports. It teaches you how to win, how to lose, how to win with dignity and grace, how to play with people that you don't know, how to fight hard, and how to never give up. And that's how life is. Sometimes you're dealt a bad hand, but what do? You keep going, keep pushing forward. So I appreciate this honor. We're not done, Mayor. We have a lot more to do. We're going to make New Jersey the #1 state in our union for physical fitness and activities, nutrition, because our country needs it. There are 31.8 million people between 17 and 24. Only about 412 can serve in our military, because obesity keeps most of those from serving. We're spending billions of dollars on obesity-related diseases. For every $1 the government spends, 1 out of $3 goes to healthcare. We just can't afford that. For musculoskeletal injuries, we're spending billions of dollars there. And just for healthcare alone, we're spending so much money that it looks like by 2030 or 2035, 50% of our population will be considered obese. It's just not sustainable. It's not good. And so how do we fix that? We start addressing the issue. We start talking about it. We start doing things like Woodbridge is doing, giving kids options and opportunities to play sports, to be involved, and to be proud of what they're doing. So we're looking for you to be the template. We're going to keep coming back to Woodbridge. We're going to keep using you as the model. And we're not done yet. So thank you. Thanks, everyone, for their time. We appreciate it. And move America.
Well, speaking on behalf of Woodbridge Township, we welcome the challenge. I'd now like to call up our special guest, Major General Edward J. Crystal, Jr., U.S. Army Officer in Charge, Task Force 23, USA Vietnam War veteran, Commemoration Office of the Secretary of Defense, and a former New Jersey State Trooper from 1988 to 2014. Major General, would you say a few words?
Sure, thanks.
Thanks.
I wish I went before Rob, though, because that's a tough act to follow. So for the record, I'm not a Vietnam veteran. I don't look magically young. I work for the Vietnam Veteran Commemoration.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, no, it's okay. You said it right, but I might have heard it wrong.
No, I put a pause between
Yeah.
veteran commemoration.
So I just wanted to clear that up, but and Rob has been a big help with that. So just real quickly, I was relatively new to working down in D.C., which, as some of you may or may not know, as bad as New Jersey is, D.C. is like a whole nother level. And I had gone to a dinner for my then director at the Reagan Center, and I believe it was for the best soldier for all the services, best enlisted for all the services. Service Member of the Year. Thank you. And I met right away. Was met by Rob. Had the pleasure to sit with him. And as we talked, he put me at ease at this dinner, and we very quickly developed a rapport. And then I realized afterward, we started talking because we're both from New Jersey, literally a few miles away. I grew up in Union and Springfield. I live in Scotch Plains. And as I got to know Rob after that, seeing all the stuff that Rob does, he's not afraid to make the hard discussion, which, as he already alluded to, that our youth, the issue with the health and fitness of our youth is having a direct impact on our ability to prepare the military to serve the nation. and that's huge. And you're not afraid to have that discussion. And we have that discussion on LinkedIn. We have it in groups, and all that you've done for my team. So you said it all. I just want to present you with my coin, which is a coin which commanders do in the military to show excellence. And not only you're excellent for the 26 years that you served, but you continue to serve and try to make your country better in any way. So, Rob, thank you.
So, Rob, I'd like to ask our council president to say a few words. He is the head of the mayor's wellness committee and has a lot to do with everything we do because it all comes down to wellness, as you know. So, Greg, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Great.
Sorry for surprising you.
Get to follow up Rob in a general. Why not? Why not? I believe Rob alluded to it. There's two types of people in the world. There's people that were athletes and people that wanted to be athletes. And those are the people that are our leaders now. So, Rob, thank you for all your great work and remembering your hometown. It's a pleasure to have you back. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're here tonight for the always pleasant task of recognizing police officers in the best police department in the state of New Jersey for various heroic and life-saving efforts on behalf of the residents of Woodbridge Township. I'd like to first introduce our town council who is present. Starting immediately to the right is Sharon McAuliffe, first ward councilwoman from Woodbridge proper and Seawarren. Kyle Anderson is a councilman at large. Greg Ficarra is a councilman at large. To the right, Debbie Mean is the fifth ward councilwoman of Colonia. To her right is Lisbeth DeJesus, councilwoman at large. To her right is Corey Spiller, third ward councilman covering Avenel and Port Reading. To his right is former police officer Brian Small, that councilman at large. To his right is Howie Bauer, the second ward councilman from Fords, Hope Lawn, and Caseby. So we have three groups of proclamations tonight. The first one being the biggest one. I will start by reading the proclamation and then call the officers up. Whereas on January 13, 2023, Sergeant Tomas Kowalewski, in concert with on-duty Woodbridge Police Department officers, responded to a report of a serious motor vehicle accident in the Home Depot parking lot on US Highway 9 South. Upon arrival at the scene, Sergeant Kowalewski and responding officers observed a motor vehicle fully engulfed in flames with the male driver trapped inside the vehicle. Sergeant Kowalewski initiated incident command of the scene, directing responding officers to utilize fire extinguishers to suppress the fire, while additional officers gained access to the inside of the vehicle, released the seatbelt, and removed the unconscious driver from the still burning vehicle. And upon removal of the driver from the vehicle, Sergeant Kowalewski, in concert with the responding officers, determined that the driver was not breathing and had no pulse, initiated CPR, and suspecting that the driver may have suffered an overdose of a narcotic, administered Narcan, at which point the driver was placed in an ambulance and transported to the hospital. The driver ultimately regained consciousness and survived the ordeal. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Tomas Kowalewski. If you don't mind, this deserves you saying a few words. I know you probably don't want to.
Sure.
All right, good.
See what we come up with. I just want to thank everyone for coming out here, supporting the police department and these officers. They're the true heroes out here. They're out here every day for the Woodbridge Township community, doing their job. This job happened to happen on the Friday night, on the 13th of Friday night, and we went from a call of a gentleman jumping off a bridge. We were able to save him right next to, within the half hour, pulling up to the scene of a vehicle that was on fire that just crashed into the Home Depot. And through about 15 years of my career here, I've never seen anything like it. And we were able to have a successful rescue and pull the gentleman out of the burning vehicle. One of the scariest scenes I've ever seen. And like I said, these guys are true heroes, and I want to thank them for being there and for everyone doing their job and working together. Once again, thank you, and thank you for coming.
Did anybody suffer injuries?
I believe 8 officers went to the hospital that night, suffered smoke inhalation, and they got the proper care that was delivered immediately. And like I said, these officers risked their life we didn't even know there was someone in the car. It was just, there's heavy black smoke. You couldn't see anything. The fire, it's hot. You can't see anything. We're not really firemen, so we're not used to that. And it took everything that we had, fire extinguishers, a 2x4 to smash the window, and these officers risked life and limb to pull this gentleman out of the car. And then as soon as we pulled them out of the car, they continued on, even though they were in that thick black smoke. They immediately did CPR. They did their job. They gave the guy Narcan, and although these officers were injured, the other gentleman was awake, and he didn't even realize what happened.
So you are fireman and you're also first aid squad?
Yes,
Same
sir.
time.
All at the same time.
All right. Very good. I'd like to call up the rest of the crew that night now. Is that with a proclamation? Officer Randall Bissett, 11-year veteran. Officer Jake Fasano, 8-year veteran. Been on 8 years already. Man. Officer Adam Romatowski, 6-year veteran. Officer Owen Sharkey, 6-year veteran. Drew Manzini, 5-year veteran. He's Officer Neil Garrett, 5-year veteran. Officer Zach Manenti, 5-year veteran. Officer Eddie Parfit, 3-year veteran. I guess I should have said Edward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Officer Jeffrey Hoffman, 2-year veteran. Officer Edward Caroselli, 2-year veteran. Officer Stephen Sexton, 2-year veteran. And Officer Jason Hernandez-Janao, 2-year veteran. All right, John, would you like to get a picture? Okay, next up we have our second pair of officers. I'd like to read the proclamation and call up Officer Stephanie Lage and also Officer Michael Carroll. On January 26, 2023, police officer Stephanie Lage was dispatched to a private residence in the Island section of Woodbridge on a report of an unconscious 77-year-old male. Upon arriving at the scene, Officer Lage, in concert with police officer Michael Carroll, determined that the male was in possible cardiac arrest, was unresponsive, not breathing, and had no pulse. Officer Lage immediately began chest compressions, while Officer Carroll activated the automated external defibrillator AED and administered a single shock to the patient. The activation of the AED, in concert with continued CPR, restored the pulse and breathing to the male patient, who was then transported to the hospital, where the patient survived and made a full recovery. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, police officers in Woodbridge Township saving lives. I'll leave it up to either one of you if you want to say anything.
I just want to thank my family for coming to support me, directors, the mayor, and the best part about this job is being able to do things like this. Just want to say thanks.
Thank you. All right, for our last presentation, I'd like to call up Officer Orlando Faria. On January 13th, 2023 at 9:48 p.m., Officer Orlando Faria was dispatched to the area of Kilfoyle Avenue in the Ford section of the township on a report of a distraught male walking in the direction of Main Street and the New Jersey Turnpike overpass with the intentions of committing suicide. And whereas as the first officer to arrive at the scene, Officer Faria observed the distraught male climb through an opening in the fence, engaged him in conversation while moving closer to his position, where he was able to grab him and hold him against the safety fence until additional officers arrived to safely and without harm remove him from the dangerous area and to secure medical assistance. Once again, life-saving effort by Woodbridge Township Police Department. I'll leave the photo up to you. You can stand in.
Thank you.
Oh. Are you specially trained at all in that kind of negotiation?
Not through the police department, but I do assist in the military,
Oh, okay.
assist in the suicide prevention team.
Did you really?
I did that from chief.
Wow, so the right person was at the right place at the right time. Wow, that's cool. Congratulations. Don't go anywhere yet. I would like to now call up the director of the nationally accredited best police department in the state of New Jersey, Bob Hubner, to say a few words.
As always, I'd like to thank the mayor for recognizing the outstanding work these men and women do. I can't think of a higher award than life-saving. To know that you saved somebody's life is just amazing. So outstanding work. I'd like to thank the council and the speaker for being here tonight to recognize the officers. Just great work. And this is not uncommon. It seems like every time there's proclamations being given out, there's a Woodbridge officer up here for life-saving or some other outstanding work. But great stuff, and thank you.
We're also joined by Deputy Police Director Joe Niski. And now I'd like to ask Councilman Brian Small, retired Woodbridge Township Police Department, to come up and say a few words about the men and women who succeeded him on the force.
I feel really, really old. I see all the 4 officers that I worked with, well, 6 officers that I had the privilege to work with. And like the director said, there's nothing better than saving a life. I mean, you put up with a lot of grief out there. I don't envy any of you. It's a tough job to do. But you do work for the best police department, and that is a fact. And just one tidbit, earlier, the mayor had said to Sergeant Kowaleski, you do fire and EMS. Remember that during contract negotiations.
Thank you very much, Brian. Aren't you part of management? Okay, once again, thank you for coming. This feels great to be able to do this. I say it all the time. We have the best police department in the state, and every single day, the men and women of Woodbridge Police Department go out and prove it. Thank you all very much.
Can we all rise for the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of reflection and remembrance for the people suffering in other countries due to natural disasters. Thank you.
Notice requirements of the open public meeting law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger published a notice on November 25th, 2022. A copy of the schedule was posted on the municipal bulletin board and should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Bauer. Here. Councilwoman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilwoman McCullough.
Here.
Councilwoman Meehan.
Here.
Councilman Patel.
Here.
Councilman Small.
Here.
Councilman Spiller.
Here.
Vice President Anderson.
Here.
And President Ficarra. Here. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from February 7th council meeting and February 16th Green Acres public hearing?
Motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beginning with second reading ordinances this evening, we will take letter A, which is ordinance authorizing the recording of a revised subdivision. This is with regards to the American Irish Association of Woodbridge located at the Acacia Center. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be opened?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter A only. Hearing no comment from the public, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter B is an ordinance of the council, Township of Woodbridge, adopting the 430 through 432 New Brunswick Avenue redevelopment plan. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be opened?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter B only.
Good evening, Tom Maris, Forge, New Jersey. Can you expand on the B? Which particular properties are they on New Brunswick Avenue?
Mr. Maris, I believe I get my numbers mixed up, but you have the Olson Towers, which I think is 357, if I'm not mistaken, and this is the old theater right next to it.
Forge Theater.
So this is referring to the theater.
Excuse me, Council President, you have your numbers backwards. That Olson Towers is 500 block. This is the 400 block. This is the, if you remember the old Villa Borghese, now it's the Dolce.
Yes.
It's that property.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
What's really, anything planned for it?
He's looking to expand upstairs to a banquet hall and outside, I guess, dining and cocktails, and add a few apartments.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from the public on letter B? Here are no other comments from the public. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion.
Second. Questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll take letter C, an ordinance to establish a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on Main Street between Route 9 and Mary Avenue during the duration of the construction project. I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open.
Motion.
Second. Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter C. Letter C opening.
John Without Woodbridge. I think that's a great idea. I'd let us see. But again, I think you should have signs like you see it go through the different parts of the country and state. There should be some kind of a sign on 35 and of course on Murray Avenue or down even on New Brunswick Avenue to divert the traffic somehow because of the congestion, because developments. And I think we know they live in the town what to do, but people, the newcomers, and they go to the town, they know they get there, they're stuck in the traffic, and that's congestion. But if you put a sign maybe on Main Street, 35 and down, and I think it would be probably help too. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe when the project is in actual full motion, the signs will be up. Thank you. We noted that.
Any other comments under letter C? Here are no other comments on letter C. Got to get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We will take letters D, E, F, and G as first reading ordinances. Can I get a motion that these four ordinances be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on February 24th, 2023, with notice of public hearing to be held on March 7th, 2023 at 6 p.m.?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Finally, Mr. President, you have 28 resolutions listed before you for consent agenda. Can I get a motion to move all 28?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
I'd like to abstain from number 4, please.
So noted. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, well, we're moving into the public session, the public portion of our meeting, and if you would allow me, please read the comment here. We will now go to the public comments portion of tonight's meeting. When approaching the microphone, which is in the back of the room, please state your name and what section of the township or state that you live in. You will have a one-time opportunity to speak up to 5 minutes. All videotaping must be taken from the rear of the room. There's a designated area there. There will be no shouting. Please be respectful to each other. Please make sure that there are no signs or posters in the aisle so that it's safe for people to walk. Public session allows for 5 minutes. The 5-minute time frame includes remarks by the speaker and any response or interaction by the council or administration. While this is a strict 5-minute time frame, the speaker will be allowed to complete a sentence if time runs out during mid-sentence. Otherwise, there will be no extensions or allotments or additional time. When there is 1 minute left, I will make a motion towards you, just give you the, I'm not just saying number one, I'm just letting you know that there's 1 minute left. Don't want to be rude, just want to give you an opportunity to close out your thought. And that's pretty much it. So we're open to the public portion, and the microphone is open.
Are there any comments this evening?
Howdy, everybody. Scott Gorch. Think you know who I am now. Familiarity. So, a couple things as kind of a post-mortem to the marathon session from last time. Kind of go over some things. A couple things. First off, the attention it got. I posted the video to next door. It got almost 5,000 views. I thought that was pretty good engagement to see that people are paying attention to the civic process. It's picked up by Patch and reported at length, which I thought was nice. The expectations. So the point there was to set the expectation that, hey, every time we've got one of these residential pilots coming up, now I know the process for the Oprah, and Mr. Mitch has been very helpful in getting the information for me to do the analysis quicker, get it over email to you, because I know what you have printed out is pretty small. I try to get it to fit the one page. I'll explain it in a second. But I do want to set the expectation that if a residential 30-year pilot comes up, we're going to go through that lengthy exercise each and every single time that we have one. So my expectation is that, hey, we're going to have these very important, very consequential votes that the council is going to start reading what they're voting on and asking tough questions and even challenging me on the analysis that I will send you. So a couple of things. I sent over a document that was printed out. So what that's going to show is, I'm going to very quickly go over it. I'm going to follow up with an email with it that is very clearly formatted better with additional analysis that I just could not get to you in time, Mr. Mitch, unfortunately. So I put numbers in the left-hand columns to just explain. That's the 30 years broken up into three rows of 10 years so that it fit on one page. So I broke it down in 10, 20, 30 years. It's an eye chart. I'm going to very quickly explain it and then follow up with an email because I didn't get you a piece that I'll explain in a second. What line 1 shows is the estimated pilot payments from the Woodmont development directly from their document, page 68 of the financial agreement. Line 2 shows the developer's net profit after all expenses under the pilot, okay? So they run a profit in year 5. As you could see on the first set of columns on row 2, it's red, 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 then black. So they run a profit in year 5. These are their financials, okay? What you'll see in the row designated 3, it shows what an estimated rateable taxes would be with no pilot whatsoever. And I will email you my methodology based on all the recent developments, the total taxes, what they became as ratables versus pilots, and I just did a comparable analysis proportionate to what this building should be assessed at, okay? I will provide that data. Line 4 shows the net profit to the developer with no pilot whatsoever. So as you could see, it doesn't run a profit till about year 11. So of course, it's reasonable to understand. I said, I'm not against the pilots. My argument is year 15. What does year 15 get us? And line 5 just shows the difference between the two net profits. So just the spread between the net profit under a 30-year pilot and the net profit under no pilot. Here's the beauty if you were to have proposed a 15-year pilot. Under a 15-year pilot, so they're going to be paying 95% of the revenue, which is a discounted revenue altogether to begin with, to the city. And obviously you will get less revenue in year 15. So you're going to have to make that up in taxes. Here's the beauty though. And again, I'll send you this data. Under a 15-year pilot, under a 15-year pilot, the city collects about $38 million in total, which is less than the $62 million you would have collected under the 30-year pilot. So you're going to have to raise taxes to make the difference, which equals about $24 million. The schools get $37 million approximate put into their budget that comes out of the taxpayers' bill. I know we debated the difference in terminology. Not 37 additional dollars. Their budget's the budget. But once year 16 kicks in and it becomes a rateable, they're going to be paying the 60% of the rate estimated, 60% of the rateable taxes, which in total comes out to about $37 million. The key there is under a 15-year pilot, the city gets less money over the 30 years, so they're going to raise taxes to make the difference of what you would have gotten under a pilot. That amount is less than gets contributed to the schools, which comes off our bill, which nets the taxpayers a tax break over the 30-year term. You can't ask for a win-win better than that. The developer gets a tax break until they become profitable. The city gets flush with cash for the first 15 years and is able to raise taxes without making a net raise to the public because the school taxes get funded by these large buildings and not just the rateable taxpayer. Net, net, net. A 15-year pilot on these, if you do the math, it's not an opinion, it is the math, is the best possible solution for these residential buildings. That's it. And I will send this, I'll follow up with a full email to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening? Sir, if you can step to the microphone, please.
Hello, my name is Ed Sofield. I live in Fords, Woodbridge. I've been with the building trades for 50 years. I've been a public school teacher. I have a graduate degree at Trenton State in industrial education. I want to tell you people about the power plant that's going up in Casey. There's more people in this town. There's more rentals. There's more houses. There's more condos. There's more townhouses, more low-income care housing. There's more elderly care. There's light in this room. People need electric. The governor of New Jersey has mandated by 2035, all cars will be electric. There's going to be an infrastructure program in this whole area for electric. There's a shortage of electricity right now. We need more electric, and the only way to get more electric is a natural gas plant because it's the cleanest, EPA, most efficient approved, and it's not approved like coal, oil, or nuclear contamination. It's the most efficient and EPA approved. If you want electric cars, if you want electric stoves, if you want police cars that are electric, if you want school buses that are electric, you have to go with this power plant because they need electric. They can't have these things without electric. Let me keep going on here. Okay. This project is a 3-year project. It's going to support 1,000 construction workers in Middlesex County, and especially in Woodbridge and the surrounding area. There's that jobs in Casey. 1,000 people will be there with their families to pay taxes to get their kids into schools. Those construction workers will be followed up by a maintenance program, and people work at that plant. We need the jobs. We need the jobs for 1,000 people for 3 years at that plant. And let me keep going here. Woodbridge is taking the lead. There has to be power for the grid. There has to be power. We had Sandy. You know that disaster shut the whole area down. Woodbridge, with this second plant over there in Casey with the natural gas, it's going to make Woodbridge and Middlesex County independent with natural disasters. When you have a Sandy, I'm not going to be out of electricity for 4 weeks over in Fords. 4 weeks out of work, getting pneumonia. With her mother, 95 years old, I got to take care of. It'll make Woodbridge independent. The mayor's got the right idea with that. The Sandy disaster. And what else? That piece of land over there is the most isolated, most contaminated, unusable piece of property that's around. And it's going to be cleaned up, and it's going to bring in tax revenue, and it's going to bring in power that the kids are going to need if they're going to have light and heat to live. The tax base will be increased for Woodbridge. It'll bring more money in. Right now, it's zero over there. It'll bring money in. I don't know how much more I can say about this. Is there any questions for me? Does anybody have any questions? What could you say? What could you say? We need the electric. The governor's mandated it. He's mandated. It has to be here. Look across the street. All those people in those houses and those condos on Main Street all over the town need electric. That's it. Case closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Are there any other comments from the?
It's the most efficient of all. The options are coal, nuclear contamination, and oil. It's the most clean, EPA efficient and approved. It's approved. It's the most efficient.
Whoa.
Most efficient.
Ma'am, you don't talk from the floor. You're welcome to go up and, speak.
It's the most efficient and approved. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
It's proven. It's the most efficient. The governor is behind it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any other comments this evening from the public?
Ma'am, you gotta go
Ma'am,
up
go
the
down
middle.
the center aisle so you don't have to.
You took the hard way, ma'am, but that's okay.
Mr. Sofield, I know you know your business because my husband is in your local, and I have great respect for you. And I know you've taught him much of what he knows. Okay, but I have to tell you that I'm very concerned about the pollution that will be spewing forth from this plant this additional plant in Casby. I've been studying it. I mean, there's been very little in the newspaper, but I've gone online and I found that this energy will not be sent to Woodbridge. It will not be needed in Woodbridge at this time. It's going to go to New York and Pennsylvania. So I'm asking, why do we have to put up with a second plant next to the one that we already have? Okay, it's gas plant, it's fracking. It's probably a lot less polluting than the coal and the other sources of energy that we could be living with. But this is something that we have to put a stop to. I myself have a problem. I have a carcinoid of the lung. My pulmonologist at Columbia Pres was trying to figure out why I got it. I never smoked in my life. No one in my family ever smoked. And he said, "Where do you live?" I said, "Woodbridge." "Where is that?" I said, "Central Jersey." He said, "Oh, uh-oh." Okay? He said, "Uh-oh." Didn't say more than that, okay? But I'm concerned about that uh-oh. I have youngsters here in my family that are of school age with developing lungs, and already they have asthma and many, many allergies like I have. I'm very concerned. Mayor McCormick, I have the greatest respect for you. I'm 78 years old and I'm born and raised in this town, and you are the best mayor we've ever had. And I say that with tears in my eyes. I am so proud of the development and excited for it that's going on in this township. I probably would have moved away if you hadn't come on board about, was it 6 years now? Things are a lot better than they were, and I don't want to leave here. I really don't want to leave. Please don't ruin your legacy, Mayor McCormick. We're all so proud of you and all that you've done in this township. I'm not against pilots. I've studied it online. I never really heard of it until a couple of months ago, but I'm not against that. I know it's going to help the town. It has helped the town. I'm not against some of the other things that have been going on in the town, but I am against the pollution. So please, Mayor, you have the governor's ear. I know he has great respect for you, as we all do. Please speak to him about this. You know, this environmental justice law is going to go through in April. It might be too late for us. But if it went through and it was in effect right now, we would get a study that would be, I think, Mr. Sofield, who's really almost a genius when it comes to electricity, and he's very well respected at the IBEW. My husband has been an electrician for 40 years, and Mr. Sofield has taught him much of what he knows. But I'll tell you something, there's a lot more to this than we know at this time. We need a full study that the environmental justice law, which will hopefully be totally in effect in April, will bring to us as on the facts that we need to make a decision about going forth with this particular additional gas plant in Seabourn. I mean, in Hope Lawn. I went around canvassing in my neighborhood. A lot of people are for it. I talked to them at their porch, and they said, "Well, we need more energy." And I said, "But we right now we have enough, and it's going to be sold by this company to other locations." So people really don't know. There's been very little. I'm very disappointed with the media. It wasn't in the Star Ledger until this past Sunday in the editorial section, and it was never in the News Tribune until 4 days ago. What's going on here? Our media has let us down. But I want everyone to really consider this very, very strongly. Look at all the facts. We really need to look at the facts because we don't need any additional pollution in this wonderful town, this slice of heaven, Woodbridge Township. Thank you.
May I ask, I'm sorry, generally when you come up, you let us know what your name is and what section, and I forgot to ask, so I'm so sorry.
My name is Carol Dobos. My family's been here since the Claybanks. They came over from Western Pennsylvania where they were coal miners, and the coal banks gave them a chance to work outside and so not get the black lung disease, which my great-grandfather had died from in the coal mines, okay? So we're very into pollution. We intermarried with the Irish, okay? They cleaned up our bloodlines. We always laugh and say that. But It's been a wonderful experience. I went to Woodbridge High School. I had the best education. I've been a professor at Rutgers for over 20 years. I'm so grateful to this town, and I don't want to leave it.
Thanks for your comment.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Thank you. Good evening. Jimmy Negroski, Secretary, Perth Amboy Area Branch, NAACP. Our area's oldest and largest civil rights organization would like to sincerely thank everyone who came outside tonight in the cold to stand together against the Competitive Power Ventures Corporation and their political cronies' plan to put another one of their dirty fossil fuel plants in our overburdened environmental justice community. This issue is so important, which is why there's been so much recent press about it. And I'd like to share an excerpt of an article from the Star-Ledger editorial board that was just published yesterday. Governor Murphy has pledged to turn New Jersey into a 100% clean energy state by 2035, a bold and aspirational goal that we all can endorse with a chorus of cheers. At the same time, he has failed to prevent another gas-fired power plant from being planned for the ironbound section of Newark and another gas plant being proposed for the NJ Transit in Kearney. Ditto for Caseby, the section of Woodbridge with the largest minority population. If cognitive dissonance is making your brain hurt, join the club. I'm so very proud to be in that club with people who have not only the conscience, but also the courage to stand up and speak out against such hypocrisy and injustice. Woodbridge Mayor John McCormick has ridiculously been trying to frame this proposed power plant in Caseby as the lesser of two evils, a pick your poison predicament. He's really trying to get uninformed residents to believe that the Competitive Power Ventures Corporation, CPV, is actually doing us a favor. I'm not kidding. McCormick says the site is one of the most radioactive in the state, and that his buddies at CPV have agreed to come in and clean it up. And all we have to do in exchange is let them build another one of their massive dirty gas plants right next to their existing monstrosity that's been spewing out toxins nonstop since 2016, literally doubling the amount of harmful pollution. Sounds like a great deal, right? And now he's even saying this stuff to the media. A February 14th MyCentralJersey.com article stated in response to his nonsense, residents question why another company can't come in and clean up the site without adding pollution. The common sense truth, of course, is that the site can indeed be cleaned up without adding more pollution. Don't let this man feed you his false dichotomy garbage. I want to shout out Sayreville Mayor Victoria Kilpatrick, who called McCormick out the same night she and her borough council passed a resolution opposing the proposed Caseby plant. She said, of course Mayor Mack over in Woodbridge wants this to go through. They're cleaning up a brownfield site that they're not making any money off of. And that's what this all sadly boils down to. Profit over people. You can read the growing number of resolutions opposing this plant passed by a dozen surrounding municipalities thus far at don'tgasmiddlesex.com. And if you click on Sayreville Borough, you'll notice that the council member who had the courage to stand up and sponsor the resolution was the late Eunice Jumford, who was tragically murdered on February 1st. When McCormick was asked what he thought about these surrounding communities formally opposing his power plant, he stated in that same February 14th article, we don't care what other towns do, and they should not care what we do. How embarrassing. Who still thinks like this in 2023? People who clearly never would have stood with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who famously wrote from a Birmingham jail cell, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. 1 minute. Thank you. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow, provincial, outside agitator idea. I want to thank all of my fellow agitators here tonight, from inside and outside Woodbridge. You understand that another massive dirty gas plant in our town will hurt many other communities as well. You match that conscience with courage and are not afraid to stand up and speak truth to power. Power concedes nothing without a demand, explained Frederick Douglass, and we are demanding that Governor Murphy and his Department of Environmental Protection reject the air pollution permits CPV needs to proceed with this disastrous project. Please don't forget to sign up for February 28th's virtual environmental justice hearing, where we will let CPV know that we will not tolerate another one of their dirty plants in Woodbridge.
Thank you.
So proud to be in this fight with you, and we continue to stand together against injustice. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Yes, good evening. Charlie Cradaville. I'm the Central Jersey organizer at Food and Water Watch, and yeah, I'm so proud to be with everybody who was outside today, standing against this monstrosity that would be a second gas-fired power plant in Keasbey. I wanted to ask, in the most recent media coverage that came out in the home news, the mayor seemed to suggest that the plan had always been for there to be not one, but two gas plants built by that Competitive Powers Ventures Corporation in that area. Can he tell us, if that's the case, why wasn't the public told that there would be two? Why was that kept from the public?
I don't believe it was kept. Would you care to respond to that?
Council President, there was nothing formal, nothing official. That's why it was not shared.
Okay, and can I understand, who was it at CPV that the mayor and his administration dealt with to bring the two power plants to Keasbey?
We probably had a dozen different contacts since 2008. I'm not prepared to remember who they were.
Okay. Well, I will note that the mayor gave a shout out to Braith Kelly, who was and is no longer an executive at CPV. I think you may know that he was, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, convicted of federal crimes. He pled guilty to them, and it involved the Woodbridge Township school system. So I'm really concerned if that's the guy who cut the deal to make two power plants in Keasbey, and then the public wasn't told that that was the deal. And I'd like to learn more about how we got here, because I think it's not too late to stop this, and I know that the council is probably feeling some pressure at this point from your residents, because this is not the type of development that we want in our county. It doesn't fit with what the state is saying we need, it doesn't fit with what the county is saying we need, and it doesn't fit with what the UN and scientists are saying we need. It's insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over again when you know it's killing people. And that's what this power plant will do. It will make it harder to breathe. It will kill people. People will suffer illnesses and have premature death if this power plant gets built. So we need you to change course here. I for one live less than 6 miles away from the site. So I have to decide for my future where I want to be, and I want to be in a place where I can breathe easy. And I think your residents share that view. I think the people of Keasbey share that view. I think the people of every part of Woodbridge share that view. And you're giving them the opposite by allowing this project to proceed. I think that we need leadership at all levels, and I want to give a shout out to all the leaders in Edison, Highland Park, Perth Amboy, Sayreville, Franklin Township, Somerset County, East Brunswick, South Brunswick, and all the other towns that took a stand on this. Their council evaluated it, they looked at it, and they said, this is going to be bad for our residents, so we're against it. This council stands out as, unfortunately, supporting this thing. So I'm just asking you from the heart to think about the future you want for your family and your residents that you're supposed to represent, and seek to achieve that. Use your power for good. You have a real chance to do that. You want to say something?
No, but if you were here earlier, I put the 1 minute
Oh, the 1
sign
minute
up just so you don't.
Thank you for that. Well, I hope that you'll listen to the residents, and I just want to say, this is a redevelopment project, right? It's going through your redevelopment agency, and you've made a contract with them, and the reality is that the promises that were made haven't been delivered on. There's no waterfront park in Keasbey. John Haggerty, Public Information Officer, put a press release on the front page of the Home News saying it will be completed in 2016, a waterfront park. Construction's started. That's 2016. We're in 2023. There's incredible dissonance here. And I knew about this dissonance because when I came to Earth Day a couple years ago to try to hand out these flyers, John Haggerty came up to me and told me I can't hand out flyers. So something's not right here. Protect the earth, do the right thing for your residents, stop the CPV power plant.
Hi, my name is Holly Cox. I'm a 24-year New Jersey resident who's very worried about the quality of our air here in New Jersey. And I'm asking you to please oppose the new Woodbridge power plant because polluted air, which is exacerbated by the climate crisis, affects us all. It is a scientific fact that fossil fuels are causing this climate chaos, which is already affecting every aspect of our life here in New Jersey. It's causing us health problems from pollution, destroying our property with stronger storms, killing our landscapes and wildlife with hotter days and less rain, and damaging our overall well-being by seeing all these things we love slipping away. There are several reasons for you to say no to the proposed power plant. 1, this CPV plant will be powered through fracking, which contaminates and wastes tons of water, causes earthquakes, and allows methane to escape, which is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide at trapping heat in our atmosphere. 2, when CPV got approval to build the first power plant, they promised to build a waterfront park along the Raritan River. However, the riverfront was never cleaned up, the park was never built, and the area continues to be radioactive. 3, this new Woodbridge gas plant will be the 3rd in Woodbridge and the 7th in Middlesex County. These Woodbridge plants will be one of the largest climate polluters in New Jersey, spewing 4.6 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions into our air every year. Included in these emissions are particulate matter, volatile organic compounds, lead, formaldehyde, and cancer-causing pollutants. In fact, Governor Murphy's own DEP just came out with a report stating that climate change is going to bring, quote, more cardiovascular disease, respiratory illness, and cancers, end quote, to New Jersey residents. With the Woodbridge power plant right here in your backyard, all of your residents will be on the front lines for these health effects. There are 223 New Jersey public schools located, number 4, there are 223 New Jersey public schools located within a 10-mile radius from the proposed plant. 5, the state of New Jersey just sued 5 fossil fuel companies for engaging in a decades-long campaign of misinformation related to climate change and its devastating impact on New Jersey. So why are we in New Jersey still investing in these deceitful companies that the state is actually suing? 6, allowing CPV to build this gas plant will lock Woodbridge and all New Jersey residents into decades more of climate-killing emissions and health-destroying pollution. To conclude, as more and more climate disasters and extreme weather events occur, the need to transition to clean renewable energy is obvious. At this point, building any fossil fuel plant does not make financial sense or common sense. In light of all this, I ask you to please protect your residents and say no to the CPV power plant. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pranita Bijlani, and I'm a Rahway resident, and I'm opposed to the proposed CPV2 power plant in Keasbey. I know Mayor McCormick has said, quote, we don't care what other towns do, and they should not care what we do. He has also said that he supports the project because, quote, we would not put our residents in harm's way from an environmental standpoint. So I would like to spend a few minutes talking about a measurement called 2.5 microns. Airborne particulate matter is not a single pollutant, but rather is a mixture of many chemical species. Particles vary widely in size, shape, and chemical composition. Particles are defined by their diameter, for air quality regulatory purposes. Those with the diameter of 10 microns or less are inhalable into the lungs and can induce adverse health effects. Fine particulate matter is defined as particles that are 2.5 microns or less in diameter. PM 2.5 is more likely to travel into and deposit on the surface of the deeper parts of the lungs, while PM 10 is more likely to deposit on the surfaces of the large airways of the upper region of the lung. Particles deposited on the lung surface can induce tissue damage and lung inflammation. For PM2, short-term exposures up to 24 hours in duration have been associated with premature mortality, increased hospital admissions for heart or lung causes, acute and chronic bronchitis, asthma attacks, emergency room visits, respiratory symptoms, and restricted activity days. In addition, of all the common air pollutants, PM 2.5 is associated with the greatest proportion of adverse health effects related to air pollution, both in the United States and worldwide, based on the WHO's Global Burden of Disease Project. Long-term exposure to PM 2.5 has been linked to premature death, particularly in people who have chronic heart or lung diseases and reduced lung function growth in children. The International Agency for Research on Cancer published a review in 2015 that concluded that particulate matter in outdoor pollution causes lung cancer. Research from the California Air Research Board initiated children's health study found that children living in communities with high levels of PM 2.5 had slower lung growth and had smaller lungs at age 18 compared to children who lived in communities with low PM 2.5 levels. PM 10, the big particles, can stay in the air for minutes or hours, while PM 2.5 particles can stay in the air for days or weeks. PM 10 particles can travel as much as 30 miles. PM 2.5 particles go even farther, many hundreds of miles. So this type of pollution does not know municipal boundaries and certainly travels 7 miles down the road to Rahway and certainly much farther beyond. And this is only one category of pollutant that will be emitted by the proposed CPV2. CPV1 emits 99 tons of particulate matter, the vast majority of which is less than 2.5 microns. The new plant will emit an additional 124 tons of particulate matter. In total, 223 tons per year of PM10, of which the subset is 214.3 of PM 2.5 microns or less. That's 95% of the particulate matter will be that very small 2.5 that goes deep into the lungs and travels far and wide. So the new plant would be more than doubling this very dangerous pollutant. So yes, clearly this new plant will very much put Woodbridge residents in harm's way. And yes, those of us who live in other municipalities should be concerned because particulate matter, among the many other pollutants emitted by this plant, does travel far and wide. Please consider opposing this plant for the health and well-being of Woodbridge residents as well as those of us in the surrounding communities and beyond. Have the courage of the Rahway Town Council and Mayor Ray Giacobbe and oppose the construction of this plant. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is John Sidoti from Woodbridge proper. As I said outside, I'm a new parent. I brought a baby girl into this world 8 months ago, and I feel very strongly that as I grew up in this community, she should grow up in a community that's just as healthy environmentally and should have every opportunity that I had when I was growing up here. I also hope that she has a town council that is courageous enough to adopt and implement environmental policies and legislation that makes sense in the year 2023 and doesn't involve constructing one power plant doubling emissions right next to an already existing power plant. I've lived in Woodbridge my entire life. A lot of things have changed. One thing I would like to see change is our council members and elected leaders start listening to the people that live here. Thank you.
Good evening. Reverend Donald Stewart of the Perth Amboy Area Branch of the NAACP, which covers Woodbridge, Perth Amboy, Cerebral, South Amboy, and Carteret. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I'll start off with some of the words from Lift Every Voice and Sing. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. For over 80 years, the NAACP Perth Amboy Area Branch has built and grown on the collective courage of men, women, young adults who decided to stand for and stand to champion what's right and just. And today we continue that work. Let me first say, can I get all of the members of the NAACP, whatever branch you're part of, please stand and stand with me as I read this. For those who are questioning my whereabouts, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere, and you have my contact. Find me. Secondly, for those who reached out to the national NAACP complaining about Jimmy Dabrowski and sending them a video clip, that backfired on you. The national office has complimented Jimmy and the Perth Amboy Area Branch for the work that we are doing. So now, my friends, you have the oldest, boldest, and the baddest civil rights organization standing and watching Woodbridge. Our membership numbers are growing every day. And the more Jimmy speaks, the more members we get. And if anybody wants an application, I have them with me. You may be seated if you like. This comments review comes at a time when New Jersey must move away from fossil fuels to meet its climate goals. And when the DEP is proposing new emission limits on fossil fuel plants to reach these goals, CPV is asking to more than double the emissions of its Woodbridge facility. Their proposal for a second gas plant in Catesby is both offensive and dangerous, and it clearly goes against DEP's stated principles of environmental justice. That's why hundreds of New Jerseyans have already rallied and spoken out against this ill-conceived proposal. Numerous media outlets have covered this community outcry, and 12 different elected government bodies in our 4 different New Jersey counties have passed resolutions opposing this project. Let us not be concerned about being reelected, rather than doing the right thing while you're in that position. Stop the perfunctory act of taking pictures with a Pan-African flag, which represents Black resistance, and goes against everything that truly represents Blackness. The killing of George Floyd in May of 2020 in Minneapolis sparked the largest civil rights demonstration since the 1960s. These words were echoed throughout the land. I can't breathe, as he was taking his last breaths. Climate issues were a major concern, but our fight slowed down because of that murder, which took place right in front of our eyes. This fight was delayed, but it shall not be denied. The NAACP has partnered with some major organizations to make sure that the word gets out and that we put a stop to this poison plant. Food and Water Watch, the New Jersey State Conference of the NAACP Environmental Justice Committee, WILD, Black Lives Matter, Perth Amboy, and more are joining this effort. And just recently, the League of Women Voters. There has been door-to-door canvassing while also getting people registered to vote. How you vote will have consequences. The Bible tells us that it rains on the just and the unjust. You may benefit from your choices on this side.
Reverend Stewart, 1 minute.
Thank you. But doing wrong, trust me, all of us are going to stand before God and be judged by what is done on this side. So I admonish you to choose you this day whom you will serve, God or man, your constituents or those in leadership. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you allow this, you are letting us know that you don't even love yourself because you're not taking care of your neighbor. Outside, there's a sign that says dedicated to veterans. This doesn't make sense to me. Because if you're honoring your veterans who dedicated their lives and risked their lives home and abroad, and now they come home to another power plant, really, but we're dedicated to veterans, that's preposterous to me. Stop it, please. And then there's so many people who are against a woman's right to choose an abortion. But yet, this power plant, all these other poisons, will cause miscarriages and birth defects. I ask you now to stop it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments this evening?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Town Council members. My name is Sheila Mazor. I'm here tonight to voice my opposition to the proposed additional gas-fired power plant to be built in Casby. My question to you is, have you even asked the residents living there and in the other sections of Woodbridge if they are in favor of allowing this new plant to be built? Do they even know what you are planning to approve? You were elected as their representatives, but it feels as though you're trying to quietly sneak this through without letting most of your residents even know about it. If CPV's additional power plant is allowed to be built, it will add 2.37 tons of new greenhouse gases annually to the air we breathe. This added air pollution will not stay in Casby or Woodbridge and Perth Amboy. It will travel to all of the surrounding Middlesex County areas. Middlesex County already has 6 existing power plants. It is a non-debatable fact that the already existing power plants are more than sufficient to produce the electric power required in this region. Since it is not needed, why is it being proposed? Who will benefit and who will suffer because of it? I live in that surrounding areas. Both my husband and I already suffer from heart disease. You will be putting our lives at additional risk. If increased ratables are your only concern, then you are telling those living and working in Woodbridge that money is more important than the residents' well-being. I ask you to oppose CPV's proposed new power plant on its site. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments this evening?
Mr. President, I ask you a question before I approach.
Come on.
I don't want that man to turn that camera off. He refuses. Oh, now he is. That's how you turn it off?
No, Mr. Troubadour, that's the designated area where he's allowed to have a camera. As long as it's.
I don't want him to film me?
Well, if you're in this chambers, then you're part of it, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you feel.
Might stop you right now.
We don't have question and answer, sir.
Oh, that guy is.
He's going to tell you.
What's your name? Charlie Crabbe. You have a business card?
Mr. Troubadour, your clock's ticking, sir.
My name is Frank Troubadour. I live in Woodbridge. I'm here specifically for one reason. The racism against Catholics has begun. A priest was shot in LA, and the pipe bomb was found in a Catholic church in Philadelphia. It is beginning. Catholics first, and I don't know, maybe they're going to sandwich the Jews in between us and the Protestants, or they're going to go right to Protestants, and then they're going to go to Sikhs, Muslims. Nobody's going to get away from this because the Soviet Nazi bloc that's running us doesn't like religion, doesn't like people going to church. I am asking this council to put out a letter to the head of the FBI, Christopher Wray, the DOJ, Merrick Garland, and Homeland Security, decrying this memo that Catholics are extremists and terrorists. People coming out of church 2 Saturdays ago, I go Saturday night mass, were walking around, is the FBI here filming us? People should be able to go to church and pray without fear of being arrested by Maoist Murphy's troops. Okay, you don't like Italians, so you killed Columbus Day. Now you're trying to get rid of Catholics? I've been waiting for Dabrowski to set fire to an Italian church, but he hasn't done it yet. And I'm here asking this council to put out a formal letter to these people. We are in danger, and you're allowing it. We want you to stand up for the Catholics. Or is that, oh no, we have to be racist against them too? They did not withdraw that memo from the FBI. It's still there. Nothing to say. Let me go further. New Jersey Revised Statute 917A-1. New Jersey Revised Statute 2C 40-21. You don't know what they are, I'll tell you. 40-21 does not allow a kid to get a tattoo under the age of 18 without written parental consent and the parent in the tattoo parlor when he's getting a tattoo. However, 917A allows him to pick up the phone at 11 years old, call his pediatrician, and have his sex glands removed at 11 years old. That's the laws in the state of New Jersey. Want them? I'll pass them out to you. That's the truth. And I put it up to the teachers to create their own self-governing organization and get rid of these pink-haired, green-haired, tattooed neck teachers that are talking kids into emasculating themselves. It's got to end, and it will. The last thing here is everybody here's dressed real nice. Some of the women have makeup on, hairspray, toiletries. Guess what? You kill oil, you kill gas, you don't have that anymore. No more makeup, no more nail polish. That comes from nitrocellulose. Where does that come from? All you want is windmills? 10 to 20,000 pounds of concrete for the base, 80, 90 feet of steel for the stem. Then you have the branches, the arms. They're made of balsa wood, chicken wire, and some type of chemical varnish, which has to be cut down. What everybody doesn't know is building them out there in the water, but because it's freezing, they gotta spray them with propylene glycol to keep them from freezing. That's antifreeze. Where's that going? Going in the water. And then twice a year, 750 gallons of oil got to get changed from the windmills. And if it was so great, Germany wouldn't have ripped out their solar field and put in a coal plant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments this evening?
Good evening. Pardon me. Good evening, Tom Maris, Fort New Jersey. I certainly want to talk about the power plant, but before doing that, I want to take a few minutes, just very few, I only had 5, to acknowledge the awards that I saw tonight of our police officers. I didn't know that was happening, but I'm glad I walked into it after watching some of the people that are here, rightly being out there, voicing their concerns about the power plant and what they think of it. But I wish they could have seen what was going on in here and the dedication to those officers, how they save lives. I recently had a conversation with the police director on 2 points that came up in recent articles about police culture change and also about pairing police with mental health programs that helps slash the use of force, that lives are saved, people aren't harmed. And if I had more time, I'd really like to go into a much greater depth as I did with the director. All I can say is Woodbridge is in the forefront of moving our police department to be the top police department in the state of New Jersey. They've got wonderful programs that are teaching our officers how to constrain without use of force. We heard one example of that tonight was one of the officers actually talking somebody out of committing suicide, was then restrained him from harming himself or anybody else in the process. And again, pairing our police department with medical professionals to arrive on scene. They're working with, I believe, Highland Park and Edison in that pilot program. And so far, it's working very well. And again, perhaps the police director later on this evening can speak a little bit more to that. But again, I don't want to run out of time. I think perhaps more than anybody else in this room, I was one of the earliest people complaining about the second power plant. After a lot of consideration, I really have decided to go the opposite way with it. I see the benefits that it will bring into the town. It'll bring in revenue, it'll bring in jobs, as this man from the IBEW pointed out, and rightfully so, very passionately. I've heard nothing except people putting out, we're going to have this much pollution, that much pollution, but can they cite any study in this area that show that anybody has actually been harmed within Woodbridge Township or within a 30 or 40 mile radius of the current power plant? And if so, please present that. Because everything else is speculation and conjecture about what may happen. And I remember the acid rain, and that wasn't that many years ago. Who speaks about acid rain today? I never hear it anymore. And yet, here we are. We're using scare tactics. We're saying medical, and then we're also saying, well, if you're for the power plant, you must be racist as well. They're not. And I agree with the mayor. This is a plan that I think will help the community, not harm it. And I wish everybody here, I don't know how many actually live in the town, but consider that everybody that's up on that dais is elected by the people of this town. They represent those people. I know they're in touch with them because I've worked with these people for 14 years or more. And I know they know their constituents. So they're representing their constituents. If people come here and say you're not, obviously they don't know. Because if your constituents didn't want you and didn't want this plan, you probably wouldn't be sitting up there. So I would encourage you to go ahead with this, back the mayor on it. I think it'll bring revenue in. And this is one of the few pilot programs. Pilot programs were designed to bring into a community. It's bringing in labor force. It'll create a lot of jobs. They'll have people, and it doesn't drain us like the apartments do, which I've always been against as far as the pilot programs. That's pretty much it. Just consider it. I think you've already passed it once. I hope you'll pass it again. Let this plan go forward. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
John Vitalik, Woodbridge. It's nice to see so many people over here. Again, well, first time mayor, I know you made up a decision, but you gotta listen to people once in a while. Last council meeting, I asked you a question, which I will bring later on what, he didn't know the answer. Why Woodbridge? We got prisons, we got all the toxic waste areas. Other towns don't want it. They come to Woodbridge. We allow everything because we're going to make some money. We come to help out the people. I used to fly through the Woodbridge. I saw oil tanks. I saw hair soil. We all know it was pollution. It was no good for people. We got rid of this pollution. The people can happy. No acid rain, this, whatever. But look what you're doing now. We are most polluted area, Middlesex County, probably. Central New Jersey. Roads, you said with no traffic because apartments, no kids in schools. You're wrong on all of it. But listen to the people. Why that power plant is so important. We need electricity, not in Woodbridge. State needs it, but let them build over there. Let them build someplace else. Why in Woodbridge? Because you're going to get a couple $1 million a year. But again, last February 7th, I did ask Council President and ask you where the water, when you see it, that plume of steam in the air. And it looks kind of the other day I was going down South Jersey, I thought it was a fire in Gatsby, but then I realized it was low clouds, it was steam coming from the plant. And where's the water coming to supply the plant? And of course, Council President did not know. Yourself, you thought it's coming from river to river. So did I. But I was made aware of it a couple of weeks before, just figures talking to people. And the reason I tell you February 7th, because those kids over here, they were sitting over there, 30 kids for Boy Scouts, I believe. It's coming, I believe, prove me wrong, from Cedarville sewage plant. So when you build a power plant, they use a line from Cedarville to KSB. So the water is coming up to clean up the human waste and all the medicine, everything else. Supposed to be clean water, going to power plant, and that's the round the turbines. If the water is so clean there, why do they dispose it into Red River? Like I believe Rover sewage plant does it. Other towns don't ever if they do it. Why do they use that thing in a power plant? I do believe boil the water, we all know it's supposed to kill germs, bacteria. But you also know, you said that area is a lot of nuclear site, medication, all the chemicals they used in the sewage plant to clean up the sewage stuff, you cannot boil it. You cannot destroy it. So what it does, it goes up in the air. We don't know what's going up in the air. We don't know what's in the sewage system. So that's the question. Why take a chance and poison us even more to make up $1 million? And that's only all for it. I don't want to waste the rest of the time to talk about it because I know you made up your mind already. So those things
1 minute, Mr. Vitar.
I would like to ask Councilwoman McCarthy over here. We talk about the Woodbridge Dog Park for a long time. And I believe I see it over here on September 7th, they have a Green Acres grant, Woodbridge Township Dog Park replacement for Woodbridge Dog Park. What's the Green Acre grant and what they talk about the Woodbridge Dog Park replacement?
The question, I can answer the question. We had an open hearing on the Woodbridge Dog Park and the Green Acres on Thursday. It was notified publicly. You had the opportunity to come and ask questions, but we didn't see anybody there, so.
No, my question would be, I understand Green Acres is the money you get from the county, right? That you buy the land so they cannot be developed, no?
If you buy what?
To buy the land or anything like Woodbridge building rights.
We have the land already. We own it.
I know, but what are you going to do with this Green Acre money to do what?
To upgrade.
Upgrade what? Dog park.
The dog park. You just
Okay.
answered your own question.
No, it's my question is,
Is
but
this
is
a
what
trick question? 'Cause your time's up.
$1.5 million
We're
to
done.
upgrade the
We're done,
dog park.
Mr. Vitar. Thank you. Sit down.
I thank you, but again,
I'd be happy to talk to you about it afterwards, but everybody else had 5 minutes. You're going to get 5 minutes too. But I'd be happy to speak to you afterwards.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Hi, how are you? Daniel Jimenez, Avenel. I just wanted to come out here and say the same thing that I was telling those people outside, and that's that we're not taking the health consequences of a second Woodbridge power plant seriously enough. What do I mean by this? Well, I'm not exactly a doctor, though I will be taking my MCAT this April 29th, but what people don't understand is New Jersey is tied for 5th in the nation with New York for the highest cancer rates in our country. And it is a known fact, you can ask any doctor, that the 2 factors that contribute to cancer the most are genetic predisposition and environmental factors. And environmental factors, 9 times out of 10, are the leading cause. Things like power plants that emit toxic chemicals into the air that our children breathe, that adults breathe, and that our grandparents breathe, that everybody breathes. These don't just cause cancer. These aren't just carcinogens. These are mutagens. These cause early onset dementia, Alzheimer's. You wouldn't believe the amount of things that we can attribute to environmental factors. hyper-industrialization, treating our cities like corporations rather than bubbles in which people live. People who have brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, children. Everybody can relate to this. This is something we should all stand for. We need to choose the health of the public. We need to stand with the environment. We need to stand with health. We need to stand with prosperity. We need to stand with switching to more renewable energy, with switching to more maintainable practices, because what we're doing is not maintainable at all whatsoever. Just because a person like myself, who I consider myself to be relatively healthy right now, that doesn't mean that the air that I breathe isn't slowly killing me. It might take 10 years, it might take 20 years, it might take 50 years, but it'll do it. And the statistics show cancer is the second leading cause of death in this state. And this state is one of the most cancer-ridden states in this country. And why do you think that is? It's because of the hyper-industrialization that this entire Northeast region sees. And we're going to contribute to that further? How can you justify that to yourself? How can a park justify that? How can anything justify that? What do we have if not health? What do we have if not our lives, the lives that we deserve? That's all I wanted to say today. Because it is important to think about the health outcomes that come out of these type of interventions, that come out of these type of developments. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Are there any other comments this evening? Here are no other comments.
Hello. This is Kyle Lawrence from Woodbridge proper. So a lot has been said about the power plant already. I'm objecting to it. I'm not going to go over things that people have already more eloquently said. What I did want to say as a member of Voter Choice New Jersey, we tend to hold a thing called Rank the Restaurants. What it is, it's a way of getting the community together, getting the local businesses and restaurants involved, and it's a way to teach people about voting, where to vote, and a choice of voting called ranked choice voting. Now, you've probably heard of this before. It's been adopted in a lot of different places in America now. It's in New York. Australia uses it to great effect. It's basically a voting system that allows, instead of just picking one person, one vote, it's a ranking of the votes. You rank the candidates you want. It allows you to have a wider swath of candidates, and it also guarantees that anyone who's elected gets a 51% guarantee. Nobody's going to win with 45%. And of course, nobody wants to have an elected official who only has 45% of the vote. And I would like to know if there is interest in the Woodbridge Council to work with us on this.
From what you told me, that's all I know. What other information do you have?
Well, I'd be glad to work with you on it. I can send you more emails. We've done this before. I don't know, have you ever heard of Voter Choice New Jersey?
Only from you.
Okay, well, we're a great organization. We're trying to get people more involved with voting, and we're trying to, of course, promote ranked choice voting as an alternative to local politics. So, of course, I know a lot of people sometimes get pigeonholed into the big two. You get this sort of idea of, well, maybe I like this smaller candidate, but, you know, I don't want a wasted vote. Ranked choice voting would actually prevent that by letting you say, well, this is my first choice. And then if they don't meet the threshold to get past sort of the first preliminary vote, your vote gets transferred to your second choice. I know it's a little bit much to just say right here, right now, but I would love to talk with you about it. And anybody else who would like to learn a bit more, Voter Choice New Jersey is a great resource that everybody can learn about voting in local elections.
Kyle, if you could just send me an email, please, at least to get it.
I actually already have sent you all emails.
Okay, well, can you send another one?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Your time's not up, but.
Okay. I'll go on. Yeah, the power plant, obviously, yeah, no amount of money is going to be worth giving everybody cancer unless you're planning on paying for everyone's medical bills, which that's not happening. Also, there's no such thing as a Soviet Nazi. The Soviets went to war with the Nazis. It's not real, and calling Governor Murphy a Maoist is insane. It's just definitionally false. Okay, that's it.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
All righty. If there's no other
Oh,
comments.
I'm sorry. I thought she was going to the mic. Can I get a motion to close the public comment portion? Motion?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, we're going to go to our agendas.
Mr. Mitch?
Oh,
Council President.
okay. I'm sorry, I recognized Mayor McCormick.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to make a statement on this issue tonight. In 2008, the state of New Jersey initiated a process to select 3 locations for construction of power plants, and there were approximately 20 interested parties competing to be one of those sites. The state wanted these plants. Competitive Power Ventures was one of the interested parties, and they searched all over the state for sites before approaching Woodbridge Township later that year to inform us that they were interested in purchasing land in Casby, which was the former home of Epic Polymers, to construct one of these 3 power plants. The property was the most highly contaminated site in Woodbridge Township and one of the worst in the entire area, with toxins encased in concrete following decades of operation as a chemical manufacturing plant. The odors emanating from the plant were so noxious that residents near the plant could not be outside their homes when the plant was in operation, which was usually on Sunday nights. They literally had to keep windows closed on hot summer nights to avoid these odors. The township administration was in favor of this project when we were presented with the concept, knowing that there was very little chance of this property ever being remediated without the promise of a redevelopment project that would provide a return on investment to the purchaser that justified the investment in the purchase and cleanup. We were also thrilled that the cleanup effort would restore dozens of acres of wetlands and permit public access to the Raritan River, which did not exist anywhere else in Woodbridge Township. When complete, the area would include walking trails, nature exhibits, fishing and boating opportunities, and a boardwalk. The project was the perfect combination of economic development and waterfront wetlands preservation. We were also very aware that CPV had long-term interest in constructing another power plant alongside the original plant, depending on market conditions in the future, and this was part of the reason for their excessive environmental cleanup of the site. On December 16, 2008, the Woodbridge Township Council designated this property as an area in need of redevelopment, and on July 10, 2012, the council adopted the redevelopment plan for the site. On April 17, 2013, the Woodbridge Planning Board approved the power plant site, and on August 6, 2013, the Township Council approved the financial agreement, which included a provision for a payment in lieu of taxes. On August 8, 2017, the redevelopment plan was amended with a minor change regarding the height of power transmission lines. No objections were raised by members of the public at any of these meetings. On September 26, 2018, the Planning Board approved the second power plant with only 2 members of the public objecting before the board attorney ruled that they had no standing and therefore could not comment on the issue. One of those objectors, a member of the local media, filed a lawsuit on November 9, 2018, challenging the board's decision, and that suit was dismissed in the New Jersey Superior Court on June 10, 2019. The Township Council approved the second financial agreement, also including a payment in lieu of taxes, on November 20th, 2018, nearly 4.5 years ago. There have been multiple public meetings with no public comment. It wasn't until May 4th, 2021, which was the first time a member of the public brought up the issue of CPV power plants at a Township Council meeting, which was nearly 3 years after the Township took action on this issue and after all contracts were signed after approval by the Town Council. The cleanup of the site has been significantly more extensive and costly than was ever imagined at the beginning of the process, primarily because of the extent and toxicity of the contamination. To date, the amount expended on this cleanup has exceeded $200 million. The magnitude of this amount is validation of the township's decision to have this property's contamination completely remediated. And of course, the time frame on the park was destroyed once everybody knew just how bad that was, so nobody reneged on their commitment, You can't build a park until you clean the land. The State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the federal government's Environmental Protection Agency are the entities charged with approving the permit applications for this site with an eye toward protecting the public. The township has no jurisdiction over any environmental issue connected to this project. The majority of the concerns raised tonight are best brought to the attention of those entities because of their technical nature and not the township. The township has already received over $20 million in pilot payments in the last 9 years and will ultimately garner over $100 million at the end of the 30-year period of our first pilot agreement. This funding comes to our annual budget outside of the limit on property tax increases, and because it is dedicated toward debt service on Township and Board of Education bonds and notes, it is outside of the limit on annual appropriation increases. The pilot agreement helped fund major improvements to the athletic fields at our public schools. We now have turf baseball, softball, and football soccer fields at each of our 3 high schools, as well as other improvements like new tennis courts, tracks, and playgrounds. The cost of these improvements, which help improve property values in Woodbridge, was borne by CPV and not by our everyday taxpayers. There are negligible costs in the expenditure side of the township's operating budget resulting from this project. At the peak of the 2-year construction period, the CPV power plant project produced over 700 trade union jobs, and there are approximately 25 steady full-time jobs involved in the operation of the plant. Once again, the township is not advocating for this economic development because of any environmental issues which are clearly outside of our area of expertise. Those decisions lie with the state and federal entities, and the township will abide by any decision they make. The first power plant was approved by them, and if anything, the technology has gotten better regarding emissions, so the second plant will clearly be cleaner than the first. It should be noted that there are no ordinances or resolutions currently before this Township Council, and there have not been for nearly 5 years. In summary, Woodbridge Township supported 2 power plants on this land in Casby because of the elimination of the worst polluted site in our town, because of the development of an incredible recreation facility with access to our waterfront, and because of the financial windfall that this provides to our annual budget to keep property taxes stable in Woodbridge. Simply put, our actions have supported environmental justice by improving the quality of life for our residents that live near this site. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're now going to our agenda, Council, if you can be prepared, and I'll start off. The Health Department will be holding a rabies vaccination clinic on Tuesday, February 28th, which is next Tuesday, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Health Center located on 2 George Frederick Plaza. This service is free for township residents who have a 2023 license for their dog or cat. There is a $10 charge for non-township residents. If you have not licensed your dog or cat yet for this year, this is a good opportunity to do so and get your rabies vaccination free. Also, the township is in the process of completing the graphic design phase of our new health mobile unit that will be delivered to us in the coming months. We are very excited about this new public health service initiative by the mayor and the chief of staff. We will be announcing more on this as we come to the future. And then moving into various types of recreation, our youth centers are up and running. The Evergreen, the Highland Grove, and the Acacia. The Raritan Bay Medical Center is presenting a health heart presentation, and that is on, oh, forget that, that's tomorrow. Scrap that. Pickleball throughout February. There are lunches for seniors on Thursdays. Different types of activities and pictures going on, and thriving in later life. And that's Woodbridge. Also, women's recreation volleyball. This is over at the community center, and a spring kickball league. So there's something for everybody at the community centers and all our other places of recreation. That's all I have. I'm going to move over to Council Vice President Anderson.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. I first would like to thank all of those who came out tonight, whether you were out in front protesting or you came out to voice your opinion. Public discourse is a big part of our government. We do listen to all of our constituents, and I appreciate everybody's comments tonight. Other than that, I would like to thank the township for acknowledging our local black leaders on our vignettes. Most recently, Mr. Donald Green. And tonight, excuse me, tonight, during the proclamation period, we recognized retired Master Sergeant Robert Wilkins, 82 graduate of John F. Kennedy High School, for his work on the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. He's most recently nominated Woodbridge Township as a New York National Youth Strategy champion. And this is based on their commitment to youth, recreation, proper nutrition. We're going to be working very closely. We'll be the first municipality in the United States to achieve this champion status on the National Youth Sports Strategy, that is. We also had 14 police officers recognized after Mr. Wilkins, and I know that there will be others that will be mentioning that, but it was nice to see, especially in the life-saving efforts that they made in the line of their duty. And I'm sure that the families and the community appreciates their efforts. For Black History Month, I'd like to bring up one story. It's a story of Robert Smalls of South Carolina. He was a slave who lost his family to being sold away, and he wanted to get his family back. He didn't have enough money. He wanted to buy their freedom. He worked on ships, and he wanted to buy their freedom. He had $200. They wanted $800. $800 was the equivalent of $23,000 today. What he did do was he stole a Confederate ship. He stole a Confederate ship and he captained it, and along the way he picked up his family. He picked up many other slaves at the time, and he sailed them to freedom. All right, he stole it from a Confederate captain who was basically probably asleep on his job. All right, and I just want to salute Mr. Smalls and his heroism and what he did, to get his family back and to get his group to freedom. And I think that that's worthy of a great Black history moment. The Independent Club of Colonia will be celebrating Black History Month this Sunday at the Acacia Center up the road on Port Reading Avenue, and that will be from 2 to 4. There you will see a lot of spoken word. There will be a lot of song and recognition of a lot of our local leaders. And I would just ask that you do come out. You come out and enjoy the event, and also there will be some great food there. Hopefully there will be some soul food for you to take in the culture as well. Thank you. That is all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson. Councilman Bauer.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order, and I have no announcements tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Wasn't prepared for that. Councilman Small.
Thank you, Council President. A few things on my agenda. Excuse me. Number 2, Woodbridge Firefighters Local 290, Muscular Dystrophy Association Bowl-a-thon, sponsored by Woodbridge Township Professional Firefighters. 290 is Saturday, March 4th at Woodbridge Bowling Center, 346 Main Street, from 1 to 4. It's $11 to ball, unlimited games, $9 donation to the MDA. If you're interested in participating, please contact Michael Mastaduno at 732-882-3447. Everybody who contributes will get a t-shirt. Number 4, Woodbridge PBA SOA. This Saturday is the annual Polar Bear Plunge. It's not too late to make a donation. This benefits Special Olympics. If you would like to make a donation, please log on to the Woodbridge PBA Facebook. Woodbridge PBA 38 local Facebook. American Irish, number 16. The parade will take place on March 12th at 1:30 p.m., leaving from Woodbridge High. I would like to congratulate Grand Marshal Ken Egan, Irishman of the Year Jim McFadden, Irish Lady of the Year Mary Natali,
Miss American Irish Victoria Gomez, and Lady in Waiting Brittany Bader. A special congratulations goes out to Councilman Howie Bauer and his wife Ingrid, and Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin and his wife Tish, who in the last 2 weeks have become grandparents. So congratulations, Craig. That's all I have this evening. God bless America. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Small. Councilwoman De Jesus.
Thank you, Council President. Item number 5, police community. I would just like to congratulate our Woodbridge Police Department administration and our police officers that were acknowledged today in their actions that resulted in saving lives. Again, that is just a testament to how well our police department works and is trained. So congratulations to all. Item number 10, the Woodbridge Public Library. Registration is open for March computer classes at the Woodbridge Main Library. Classes will begin with basic computer skills, and it will include office and database searching. Join registered dietitian Anne Marie McDade, Hackensack Health, to learn how the DASH and Mediterranean diet can help reduce risk factors for heart disease at the Main Library on Tuesday, March 7th at 1 p.m. You can register online at woodbridgelibrary.org or call 732-634-4450. Also, the Woodbridge Environmental Commission will host a program with speaker Sylvia Kay of the Sierra Club at the Forest Branch Library to promote the Fort Seat Library on March 9th at 6 p.m. Registration is not required for that. And just one announcement, item number 18, Women's History Month is March, and we will be raising the flag to acknowledge the month as Women's History Month on March 7th. Again, please, we will be acknowledging women athletes during the month of March from Woodbridge Township, and that is all that I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Spiller.
Thank you, Council President. One quick announce, item number 9 on my agenda, Knights of Columbus Columbian Club of Avenel. Curbside dinners are back starting this Friday for Lenten dinners. You can contact the Knights of Columbus Columbian Club of Avenel at 732-636-9696. And that Columbus is located at 109 Morrissey Avenue. The rest of my agenda is in order. Thank you, Council President. God bless America.
Thank you, Councilman Spiller. Councilwoman Meehan.
Thank you, Council President. Going down to number 5 on my agenda, food pantries. This week, we will be finishing up our 2023 Have a Heart Food Drive. As of February 17th, with the help of businesses, schools, and many different organizations within the Woodbridge community and our residents, we've collected $61,768 in donations, and we've collected 16,695 pounds of food. And we still have a few more stops this week. These donations will be divided between our 11 food pantries located within the township. Whether you donated 1 can of food or you held your own food drive, your generosity truly made a difference to help those in need during these winter months. Thank you for helping us to help everybody else. The rest of my agenda is in order. I do have one announcement about the New Jersey Anchor Program. Residents are reminded to complete and submit your New Jersey Anchor Property Tax Relief application by Tuesday, February 28th. The program offers direct cash property tax relief to both homeowners and renters who resided in New Jersey in 2019. Homeowners are eligible for either $1,500 or $1,000. Renters are eligible for $450. The application is very easy, and it only takes a couple minutes. You can apply online at anchor.newjersey.gov, or you can call 1-877-658-2972. That's all I have tonight, and I also would like to just congratulate all our officers. We have wonderful officers in this town, and they do a great job, and their reward tonight was well deserved. So thank you to them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman McCullough.
Thank you, Council President. I have a few announcements this evening. First, Relay for Life registration is open for this year's annual walk that will be held on June 10th at Woodbridge High School. Get your team members together and set up your team by logging on to www.relay07095.org. The Chamber of Commerce will be holding a an unplugged event this coming up Wednesday, March 15th at Blue Ale House from 5 to 7. This will be a multi-chamber event with the WAG and the Clark Business Alliance. This is going to be a great way to network with many local businesses, so put on your green, come out and pregame for St. Patrick's Day. For more information on any of the chamber events, you can contact 732-636-4040. The Gallery on Main, located at 101 Main Street in the heart of our downtown, has 2 exciting events scheduled for next month. The Spring Artist Reception will be held on March 23rd from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and on March 29th from 4 to 6 p.m. The Gallery and the Chamber of Commerce are teaming up for a meet and greet with the local artist. Enjoy some light refreshments, pursue the new art on display, and socialize with the artists at both of these events. The Seawarren Library will be having a leprechaun decorating contest starting February the 27th through March 17th. Stop by the library, pick up your leprechaun, and then voting will take place online from March 20th to March 26th, and the winner will be announced on March 27th. Also at the Seawarren Library, if you're interested in trying yoga, on March 10th, in conjunction with Comfort and Balance, the library will be hosting 2 free early morning yoga classes for individuals 14 years and older. Space is very limited, so to reserve your spot and get further details, call 732-634-7571. Last, I'd like to mention that the Top Chef competition at Bahama Breeze will be held on February 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. This event is a fundraiser for the Weed Feed Woodbridge, and to get tickets you can contact Jesse Farina at Bahama Breeze at 732-726-8951. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Council, I just wanted to mention, I just opened this up, a thank you letter from Peter Barcelona, the director of We Feed, for our $221 contribution to the Have a Heart food drive. So I wanted to share that with you, and also point out that somehow we made a mistake adding, because it was supposed to be $214, not $221. So whoever did that, but thank you for your efforts. Mr. Mitch, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. My agenda's in order. Just a quick comment. There is a special school district election for March 14th between 2 and 6 p.m. Anybody looking for details can contact the local Board of Education or look in the newspaper. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. Mr. Semaluka.
Thank you, Council President. I have a few items. I have an overpayment of sewer taxes, and on add-ons tonight, I have a Menlo Avenue sewer emergency repair, and I have P.F. Conroe Davies preliminary official statement. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, sir. Director Hubner, anything from the Police Department? You're my favorite. I've been practicing Mr. Buchowski's name for a week, and he's not here. So, Director Darden. Yeah, I'll skip you for saying that. Director Darden, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. Nothing this evening.
Director Brew.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda's in order.
All right, Mr. Haggerty, you got any words of wisdom for us?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Legal?
Nothing this evening, Council President.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.